sort of grade yourself so far, getting comfortable and making plays?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm not really grading necessarily making plays. Right now, I'm just trying to grade myself as far as like assignments, making sure that I'm assignment sharp, making sure that I'm lined up correctly, making sure I'm motioning to the right landmarks, making sure I'm running the right routes, getting my depth, things of that nature. I guess this part of camp, I'm just kind of worried on those type of things. Because once you get those things, that's when the game kind of slows down for you. Then you can really start kind of hopping into yourself and making plays.
Coach, how much of an adjustment is it for you in an offense that has a lot of alignments, a lot of motions, a lot of shifts, and coming from what you came from in Cincinnati, how much more volume is that for you?
Yeah, no, it's definitely a lot. Especially Cincinnati. Remember, we're kind of like a base, more of an offense. Not too much shifting or motioning. We're more hand signals as well. From the sideline. Here, it's all communications from the quarterback. You're hearing it in the huddle, so you're trying to process it instead of just kind of looking toward the sideline. And then definitely a lot more motioning from one spot to another. Those type of things. So it's definitely a lot more for sure. But that just means you got to dial in. The plus side of that I think is just kind of with the variety of different shifts and motions and even routes and adjustments. It kind of keeps the DBs on their toes. It gives you kind of more to look at. Gives you more space to mirror things up. Make one route look like another. Just kind of gives you a variety of tools to use. So it's definitely been a lot there, but I just think it gives you a step ahead too once you get it down.
Coach Hightower yesterday, or Coach Hightower earlier said that you never make the same mistake twice, that you're always focused. Where'd that focus come? Have you always been like that? Is it studying? How do you kind of explain that?
Yeah, I think first starts with just loving the game of football. I think it just kind of starts there. If you really care about what you do, you really hone in on things like that. And so, for me, that's like I said, kind of some of the things I hone in on is just kind of the MAs and the missed assignments. Okay, those are the important things because I don't think those take effort. Those take just locking in, making sure that you study the next day before and start preparing for the next day. So I think it just starts with just loving the game of football and just wanting to be better.
Back to what Dan asked about to you. You with your speed, what's the nuance, the one nuance of the position you think will be the biggest key to kind of getting over a hurdle to being productive as a rookie as a wide receiver?
Yeah. Well, so far, I mean, one thing I've noticed coming from college to the NFL is the biggest difference is not necessarily, I wouldn't say necessarily the speed of the game, not as much as I thought it would be, so far at least, but I would say the knowledge of the players that you're going against for sure. I remember my first rep against Jalen Johnson when he came back in OTAs, and my very first rep, he was on top of it, like he ran it for me. And at that point, I was like, man, this, and I mean, this guy's been here for 3, 4 years, and so I'm like, man, this dude, he just kind of gave me a taste of what really a high level caliber cornerback, kind of how they dissect the game and how they're just one step ahead. And so that's pretty much the biggest difference. So I'm just trying to figure out now how do I use my speed, how do I threaten guys with that, and so just using like run plays or things of that nature, just to kind of threaten guys and make them feel what I'm about. So that then gets guys off of me, so then I can kind of play around with them. Because at the end of the day, it's a physical game. Also being fast and things of that nature, but it's also a mind game as well.
So what did you do the next time you faced Jalen?
Yeah, no, I mean, with him, I'm just trying to make everything look the same. I'm not trying to give any telltale signs. Receiver, you got to be a good actor, and I'm just trying to be consistent in what I do. I think I caught a kind of like a deeper hitch today, against him on 7-on, and the biggest thing I was just trying to focus on was really just giving him my presence of like I'm going deep, and then just snapping it off and shutting it down, and I ended up making a catch. So.
As you develop your strength in the NFL, how do you go about what type of things you need to work on to kind of get those clean release so guys don't get their hands on you early to kind of negate your speed?
Yeah, I think the first thing is anticipation. Just making sure, I kind of felt them coming up on me kind of when I was looking inside. So I think the biggest thing is just having, first off, better anticipation of expecting hands, especially, a guy like me who over the past, kind of couple one-on-ones, guys have kind of been playing off and things of that nature. I've just kind of been running past guys, just been able to do what I want. And so, guys are going to start trying to come up and say, okay, well, let's see if he can take on a press. Can he release, things of that nature. And so the biggest thing is, I think, first and foremost, having an anticipation at the line of always expecting hands. And then on top of that, once again, just continuing to grow and develop in the weight room, things of that nature, getting stronger. So once they do, get on you or get hands on you, it doesn't really affect you too much.
Tyler, how much are you leaning on some of the veterans in your room? And have there been any conversations that stand out to you with some of the guys?
Yeah, I think each person's kind of got their own kind of thing to them. Mooney, I mean, he's a guy that, I love, because his mindset. Mooney, he's his own man. And one thing about him is like he's just like, listen, do you, man? Just like be you. Don't be a robot. Don't be, just like, you seen something drawn up on paper. At the end of the day, you got to get the job done. It's football. They brought you here for a reason, and you got to do things that separate you from the rest. And I love that about him. Just his mindset of like, just be you. And then EQ, vet type of guy, and he's the guy that it's the little things, whether it's after you catch the ball in drills, finishing, upfield, or hey, somebody just did something in front of you, you need to be watching and paying attention just in case, you need to do, you're up next, and so you need to know so you don't make the same mistake, or just for being prepared on the sideline just in case, DJ goes deep or Chase goes deep, and having your helmet on, just being ready to get in the game. So it's just kind of those little things like that. And then Dante. He's out right now, but he's a guy that's just kind of been just keeping an eye on me. Whenever I'm running routes, things of that nature, he'll just be coaching me up and not just necessarily, giving me a correction, but saying why. Understanding the why of what he said. So coach will make a correction to me, and he'll ask me. We'll sit next to each other in meetings. He'll be like, "Hey, do you know why he's saying that?" And so we'll just kind of talk like that.
Tyler, what kind of goals do you set for yourself as a rookie?
I think the first goal is to earn the trust of everybody around me. I just kind of that's how I felt about it coming into college. Guy, you have all these different stars and guys that are 4 stars, 5 stars, 3 stars. Trust of everybody around me. That's the first. That's the first thing. So yeah, just earning the trust around me. I think coming in, I just try to humble myself. I was drafted. Great. But at the end of the day, you just got to earn the trust. So, my mindset is if I come in humbled, I can only be exalted. And if I come in kind of exalted myself, then I can only be humbled. So,
Tyler, has your perception,
Tyler, the conversation has been on your speed most of the time you've been drafted in the year. Then you also just alluded to what it takes to be a professional at this level. Putting that all into context, what do you believe are your biggest strengths that you're bringing to the offense, besides, of course, being fast?
yeah, I think it's my mind. First and foremost, just kind of my mind, my love for the game, just kind of like I mentioned earlier, just wanting to be better, and, that's another step in my game, just kind of being one step. Kind of I watch DJ, and DJ he's always just one step ahead of everybody. He kind of sees things before it happens, and that just comes with experience as well as watching film and things of that nature. But I just think my mind and being able to see things and just being able to feel different defenders and holes and spots like that, I think are good things in my game, and I think just also my toughness as well. Just being able to being a smaller guy, but just being able to compete. At the end of the day, it's a game of competition. And coming in, like I said, when I was in college, that was the number one thing, just competing. No matter what you were ranked, no matter what your stars were, being, under recruited or whatever, at the end of the day, you got to compete and prove that you belong where you're at. So I think, just my passion for the game and just my toughness are the two other.
What's your comfort level in terms of receiving kicks? Richard said this, you're doing a little bit of that. I know you didn't have a whole lot of experience in that in college. What's your first taste of it, and any anxiousness or anticipation this out at the pro level?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really do too much when I was in college. I did some kickoff returns, but no punts. I was actually coming off the edge on the punt team. But, I'm getting used to it now. I'm starting to get more comfortable with it. Starting to kind of really read the ball. That's a big thing, especially being a punt returner. It's just reading the ball with your eyes. Just kind of watching how the ball falls, whether it's a right-footed punter or a left-footed punter. Just kind of reading the nose of the ball and kind of how that falls. And so Coach Flus, he kind of helped me out with that, last practice. We just kind of sat back there and we were just kind of watching the ball and we were just talking through how's the ball about to drop. And that's another big thing that, Coach Flus, he talks about, just having reps when you're not in the game, or you're not in a rep, or when you're not in a rep in practice, and how do you get better? And he says getting better is by mentally being locked into that rep, even though it's not yours. And so that's kind of what I'm doing now as a punter, just trying to make sure I'm locked in and really trying to read the ball. So really catching it with my eyes. That's been the biggest focus. But I'm starting to get more comfortable with it, and it's starting to come together.
Tyler, Terrell Smith has gotten a lot of work with the first team defense. I'm curious, in your matchups against him, what has impressed you about your fellow rookie?
Yeah, I think it's his strength for sure. I'm surprised how strong he was. I didn't know he was that strong, but I think it's definitely his strength. Probably to me stands out the most.
So when he first got here, Darnell Mooney was still rehabbing from the ankle surgery, and now you've gotten a chance to watch him ramp up and then participate more and more in these team drills. So as you've watched him go from that rehab to now participating more, is it anything impressed upon you, or is there anything you're taking away as a rookie watching Darnell?
Yeah, I think it's just his wiggle, man. I was kind of watching some of his film from last year, And I heard about him, heard he was, pretty good, but then now being able to really kind of hone in on him and watch him, like, man, this dude he's nice, man. He's just, a real nice dude. And so, and also coming from, Tulane, kind of the same league for sure, get some love there. But no, I mean, Mooney, one thing I like about him is just the confidence. We trained together back when we were in Florida in the off season in Fort Lauderdale, and just watching him run, he was just getting himself back. But I think for him, it was just all mental. Like I said, he's his own man, and when I asked him, like, "How you doing?" "I'm good. I'm good, man. I feel good." And he just doesn't think of the injury when he's playing. Like, he's just trying to get back to the Mooney that he was, and even better. And so just watching him run, he had a nice. I think it was during one-on-ones. He had a nice over route, and you see those type of things, and you jump, and it's like, wow, and I think that was off of his bad ankle too, that he had surgery on. So just watching him and just watching his confidence, I love that about him.
Thank you.
One-on-ones. How did it feel winning multiple reps in a row?
I mean, I'm just out there just working, honestly. I don't really count yeah, win is cool, but the way you win is more so translates over to like actual 11 on 11. Because they have 5 guys protecting on offense typically. So even if you win your 1-on-1, you could get picked up by a center, you could get chipped by a backer, you could get chipped by a tackle. So I kind of take all that to account in my win. So it's just more so how I win that I'm trying to look at versus the actual win itself.
A lot of new guys on that defensive side. Is it easier to establish chemistry on the defensive side than it is for a newer offense?
I can't really speak for the offense, but I just know on defense, our whole team is really new. Even with the young guys. So we just try to do a lot of things like off the field together. Have fun in the meeting rooms together. Like try to keep it serious most of the time, but also have a good time as well, because at the end of the day, we're playing a child's game, for King's ransom. So if you look at it like that, so you gotta have fun with it. That's the only way you gotta play the game. So.
How much are you looking forward to Paz coming on?
It's Paz. It's year 6 for me, so I'm not really like over anxious like some of these rookies are. Guys probably gonna go to sleep tonight like 7:30, getting their mind right for the Paz and everything. But I remember them days under my rookie year. I went to sleep at like 7 o'clock because I knew we had Paz the next day. I had to make sure I was ready to go. But now it's just another day for me. So to come out there, being able to work certain techniques and certain things. Now that we in full pads, you can work different kind of moves now. So just digging in that bag right there. So.
Does the intensity though ramp up?
Oh, for sure. I think it ramps up more so for the skill guys because they're getting thudded now versus like tagged off. For the O-line, D-line, it's really kind of the same. We're always going. So yeah.
The physical grind at camp is different than it was when you first got in the league. Some of it by the CBA design. What is the difference from the time you were first and second year player to now in terms of the?
Oh man, we my rookie year we went 6 days straight and then had a day off. So we had pads like 3-4 days in a row. So now that we're going 3 days on, 1 day off, like this is sensational.
It's like a vacation.
This is amazing. So.
Are you imposing your will more in this camp at this time now, maybe relative to last year when you first joined the Bears?
What you mean by that?
I mean, like using your voice more, leadership role along the line, that kind of stuff.
I mean, when you first come in, like you can't just come in here and just start barking orders and being like you kind of got to you got to serve before you want guys to follow behind you. Like you got to be the guy that's lending a helping hand, that's always trying to help somebody out, give advice when needed. I'm not in here trying to be somebody's parent or anything like that. Like I'm just trying to be a helping hand for real. And same type of thing this year. I just want to help out where I can. And we have a lot of us young guys in our room, and I got a lot of experience in this game. We got a lot of other guys too that have experience in this game, so they're using their voice as well as trying to lead those guys in the advice and the questions they ask. Answering it with different ways, because football is not a perfect game. It's a game played by imperfect people. So a play's not going to shake out the way it's designed on the board, or plays aren't going to shake out the way they draw it. But it takes a certain kind of athlete to make those plays come to life. So when you get those guys to look at it like that the players make the plays come alive, they look at the game a little bit differently.
Have any of the young guys stood out to you the way they worked so far?
Oh yeah, Big Dex. Yeah, that's a man right there. Yeah, he's a good player. I think once he really understands the X's and O's, outside of just, you know, the D-line, like understanding the whole defense and, you know, how offenses like come and try to attack certain defenses and certain styles of play. I think he's gonna be a real dominant player in this league.
Is he leaning on you at all, asking questions?
I mean, you know, when he has questions, he'll ask me, you know, but he's a smart player. He takes really good notes. You know, he absorbs a lot of information, so that's a good thing about him. And I do feel like he's gonna play a long time in this league.
Cody was
How
telling
have
us
you,
about
how have you
it.
seen him grow, Jervon? How have you seen him grow from maybe the first OTAs until now already?
You know, I don't think we're done seeing him grow. You know, honestly, I think that we're just seeing the first glimpse of Jervon, in my opinion. You know, he's as the intensity's picking up, he's picking up. That's how I see it. So, you know, we get pads on tomorrow. So, you know, I would expect something huge out of him because, you know, he's a real physical dude. So, yeah, he's gonna be good.
We talked to Dom the other day just about kind of his off season and what he's added to his skill set. He said that because he isn't a natural pass rusher by trade since he changed positions, that his off season review was go out, work with somebody who's done this. So he worked with Robert Mathis. What have you seen from him as far as him adding to his skill set that's going to make him a better edge rusher since he didn't have, the years of experience that someone like yourself did play D-line?
Well, first of all, he is a natural, number one. You know, if you see the way he moves and how he bends and the ankle flexion and the way he works his moves and gets around the edge, like that's like God-given ability. That's not like something you can coach. So he is a natural. I do think that as the years go by and he does get the experience, I think he's going to be a really, really good. He's been a really good rusher this camp. But I think he's going to be even better as the years go by and he gets more experience because, like I said, he does have those God-given abilities that allow him to do certain things that a lot of guys really can't do, that a lot of guys spend their offseason trying to be able to do. So, you know, that just comes naturally to him. So I think he's going to be really good.
Cody was telling us that Jervon is, using his leverage, using his weight, a little push-pull stuff early on that's maybe a little surprising to see out of rookie. So like maybe you see that out of a second, third, fourth year player. Is there anything else that you notice with Jervon that makes you go like, wow, this rookie is maybe using some veteran moves here?
I mean, he benches like 500 pounds. I don't know what else to tell you. Like, he's a strong, big, strong guy. Like, I mean, you manhandling guys literally, you can't even coach that, honestly. You know, I mean, obviously you can coach him on technical things, but the physicality that he brings, like, you can't coach that. Like, that's just natural. So.
Justin, Ryan Poles has talked about this team kind of collectively developing a championship mindset. I'm curious, as a veteran, it's going to be relied on a set of tone. What does that mean to you? What do you hope to see out of this group in that regard?
You know, just the way that we've came together over these last couple of weeks, you know, even back in OTAs and everything, and even before that, you know, just the way the teams came together and became really close and like a tight-knit team. Like, you know, these guys are really, really, really close. And I think that speaks volumes to the work that's been put in. And obviously this camp, you know, we're putting a lot of work in together and guys are leaning on each other a lot more, which when you get to those playoff games, you get to those like deep into the playoffs and obviously the Super Bowl and stuff like that, that's when your team really comes to life because the attention to detail is there because of, like I said, everybody's together. So everybody's holding each other accountable. So those small details that people miss, we're not gonna miss those because everybody's holding each other accountable and everybody's accepting that accountability from their partner because of the closeness, how close we are.
Five practices going up against this offense. Does anything feel different to you, seem different with that unit that you're facing?
On the offense?
Yeah.
1 and 2, Justin Fields and DJ Moore. Yeah, that's different. That's really different. There's been some really nice passes, some really nice balls that's been like dropped right into his hands. You know, I pause. I don't want that to sound too crazy. My D-line would be going crazy, but but yeah, there's been some really nice passes that DJ's caught and make you scratch your head and be like, damn, I don't know how he even got that through there or how he even made that catch. You know, but they have really, really good connection. I think that's really gonna be scary this season coming up.
Thanks, guys.
Nice, Justin. Appreciate you.
There have been questions the past 2 years, not the past 3 years, about the Nationals role, how you are doing your finishing blocks, having that aggression. Since you've been here, leading up to now, where do you think that aggression is within the unit now?
Yeah, I mean that's something that you got to work on every day too. You know, we're obviously not in pads yet. You know, so it's it's hard to kind of get that aggression working right now. You know, plus you're going against your own team. There's only, you're not gonna take a guy to the ground and stuff like that right now. But you know, that physicality level we'll pick up tomorrow when we're in pads. And you know, as big guys, we always look forward to that day for sure.
Cody, does the offensive line set goals for the season? Do you guys get together and say, hey, can't allow this many sacks, so on?
Yeah, I mean, we will eventually. you know, obviously our focus right now is just getting better every day. You know, and we're going to take a big step tomorrow and getting the pads on and being able to, you know, work on our run blocks a little bit more and stuff like that. So we're really excited about that. But yeah, those goals will be set eventually.
What about you for Pro Bowl?
I mean, you know, I'm always a team first guy. I'd rather our team, you know, win and keep going to the playoffs and you know, go to the Super Bowl rather than be a Pro Bowler. You know, but I'm just trying to help my team win.
What's been the biggest challenge for you so far going back to center?
You know, obviously, you know, making sure I'm communicating great at all times. You know, I take a lot of pride in that. I take a lot of pride in making sure our unit is on the same page. You know, so anytime I mess up, I beat myself up about that. You know, but I felt like overall it's been a pretty smooth transition.
Cody, as the offense looks to kind of take a step forward in the late game on the line situations, what's your sense of where that step needs to come for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, obviously everything starts up front with us. You know, we could be a little bit better. Allow Justin to have some more time. We got some good playmakers. You know, and we got a good line too. You know, so I think we got all the pieces now. We just got to fine tune the little details. And you know, I think we're well on our way and really excited for tomorrow to get the pads on to take that next step.
Cody, what's the biggest difference with Tevin today compared to maybe this time last year?
Yeah, I think, you know, Tevin's still a pretty young guy, you know. I think the biggest thing is just having another year in this offense, you know, for all of us. But you know, Tevin having to move from right guard to left guard now too, you know, I feel like he's done a good job. He's in a good spot. You know, and we're just going to continue to grow and get better as training camp goes on.
You're a guy who's moved around the line over your career. Is there anything that you relay to him to kind of help him make those transitions?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of tough because going from the right side to the left side, obviously you change your stance. You know, your outside hand becomes different and stuff like that. But you know, you just got to take it day by day. Really embrace your individual time because that's really when you work on your you know, technique and fundamentals. So as I can say there, just embrace fundamentals in your individual time, and then, you know, grab a couple minutes before and after practice to work a couple things that maybe you struggled on, you know, the day before in practice or in practice. Hit that after practice so that you can, you know, create good habits.
Cody, you got a lot of young guys on both sides of the line, defense and offense. When the pads come on, how do you go about setting the tone for what that looks like, what that feels like, how hard are we going, what are we doing? How do you set the tone for that for those young guys?
Yeah, I mean, we set the tone up front for sure. You know, there's obviously a smart way to go about it. You know, we're still teammates. We're still trying to get to the season and make sure we can be as healthy as we can be. But we also got to callous ourselves, you know, and get ourselves ready. So absolutely, that's on us as veterans to kind of set the tone and make sure everybody's on the same page. So we'll do that for sure.
Cody, pads go on tomorrow?
I believe so, yes.
I mean, is that still something you look forward to at your stage in your career?
Absolutely. You know, every day, you know, you're trying to get better at something, but, you know, the intensity, obviously, it's kind of like practice to games. It goes up a little bit. And when you finally get, you know, we haven't been in pads for 6 months, you know, so it's obviously, for us big guys, it's a fun day that we can really work our run fits, our combinations, you know, stuff like that to help us on Sundays ultimately.
Cody, what impression has Darnell Wright left on you the last couple of months, but specifically the first week of practice?
Yeah, Darnell's he's a really athletic kid, you know, big guy. You know, I think the thing about him is he's for a big guy, he's got really good feet, and he plays really long. He plays with good extension. You know, we were watching one-on-ones and meetings just a couple days ago, and you know, he's so strong. His strike and the way he moves his feet's really impressed me. So, you know, really looking forward to seeing him in the run game too. You know, a big guy, he can move people off the ball for sure.
Cody, Javon Dexter's a huge guy, and I know you go up against him like that, but he is a big guy, especially in the middle. Looks even bigger. But can you tell already that what kind of load he's going to be when pads come on, or when?
Yeah.
Can you see where he is, or that he's different from other guys the organization's brought in?
Yeah, you can get a little feel right now. I think the biggest thing that impresses me for a young guy with how he is how he uses his hands and uses kind of the offensive lineman's weight and leverage against them. You know, as a young guy, that's pretty impressive. Usually, you know, takes a couple, 2-3 years to get to that point for guys to really figure out how to pull guys and kind of shed blocks. You know, but he's gotten really good with his hands and knowing how to use his leverage.
So you guys are watching film and it's like actually eye-opening watching Wright in terms of the one-on-one that you're talking about.
What'd you say? Could you repeat that?
Yeah, you guys were watching Darnell Wright and you talked about his strength in the one-on-one, so that was eye-opening to you guys, like as a veteran offensive.
I mean, yeah, anytime you see a guy that, is striking guys in one-on-ones and doing what he's coached, I guess the biggest thing is taking, the individual to a situation like that where it's kind of more of like a team setting where you're, going against the defense. So that's awesome for a young guy to come in and be able to take your individual and what we do in individual and our technique and stuff and translate it like that. We talk about that all the time, and that's what we're striving to do is take our fundamentals that we learn, in our individual drill to team and to one-on-one situations like that to help us get ready for Sunday.
You guys have any fun with him about the conditioning test mishap?
We were really impressed with the way he came back. As a young guy, you're trying to figure out things, OTAs, there's a lot that goes into it from a kid getting drafted to coming here for rookie minicamp and then staying, and then having these 5 weeks where it's like, here's your freedom, a young guy that's had so much structure throughout college, that you give him 5 weeks off and it's like, well, what do we do? Well, he really used that opportunity, the 5 weeks to really get in shape, and transform his body to come in and be ready for training camp. And he did that. He's done a nice job. He looks good. He's in great shape right now. And we're really excited to see him go.
What do you think when you did as a wide receiver?
What's that?
You did the wide receiver workout.
Yeah. That's obviously a little bit more distance and less time, So that's awesome that he trained like that so he can be in better shape for sure.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.